Okay, October 4th, 55. Mercury, Sun in the 6th house, Mercury in the 7th house. Okay, Mercury conjunct Neptune. Starts conjunct Neptune, so you have Mercury conjunct Neptune, square Uranus. So these are natal things. So she's got a kind of displaced, she's got a magical imagination, but it's a little spacey compared to most people. It's dreamy. She's got a good imagination, that Neptune with the Mercury. So the Mercury starts with that, but it goes back before this lifetime, backs up, goes over her ascendant, over her descendant in 62 when she's 7. So like her idealism and her belief systems and her ideas that are tied to each other are backing up. And by the time she started school, there's a big difference going on. And this may have been coming from an ethnic background, going into a public school, having run across, it might have been some issue of racial thinking or cultural thinking or something, a prejudice that might have come in around that time was a real thing, but it affected how our parents were thinking, how things were done in the world, how relationships should be. She's thinking about those things. That went over Venus, hit Venus in 64. 64, she's 9 years old still. So these are things affecting her relationship and her attitude to relationship, probably to parents' relationship from an early age. Then it went back and it's going retro. Started retrograde. It went direct, say stationary direct in 73, October 73. So it comes down almost to her sun. Let's see. Hold on here. Yeah, it went stationary at 13:10, but her sun is at 10:57. So it didn't come that close to her sun. Sun's here. So it didn't quite get back to the sun. Then it went direct. In 73, it went direct. And then it conjuncted her Venus again, conjuncted the descendant, conjuncted the Neptune by 88. So probably in these times, she's not just finishing school, like 55, 65, 75, 85. This is probably marriage times where she's getting married and setting up her own world around it. But by 88, Mercury gets past its starting point. At 88, Mercury conjuncts itself again, and the Neptune, and it starts moving forward right up to the midheaven. So she can see, coming from where she came from, how she held back, how she can start thinking to make things go forward for herself and building up to her career, which is peaking for her intellectually thinking of status and position until 3502. So she's still well into this phase of building things up. But the interesting time is these two times that she's been through, and Mercury backed up, went over the descendant and the Venus, then retrograde, went direct, and went back to the Venus and the descendant, then hit the Mercury and the Venus, Neptune again. So these years would be very pivotal, and you'd ask her what was going on then, what happened then. And see, when I had the live classes, this is what we do. We go into this, we talk about it, and then we become alive like this. This format doesn't allow us, but allows us to present the material a little bit better. So her Mercury then builds up. So we'll just take this forward a little bit more. Yeah, so here we have her Mercury going back, forth, going forward. As it's building up to the midheaven in 2035, it's going to conjunct the Saturn. It's going to conjunct the node. It's going to make some other squares, and that let's just, I know I just marked in the conjunctions for these two, for this two, the conjunctions to the Saturn and to the North node. So the conjunction to the Saturn, I mean, it used to be you just have these sheets of paper and they'd be ephemeris here, chart here, progress chart here, and you have all these sheets around you. And I'd have about 20 sheets when I was working with someone's chart to be able to go from here to there, but I'd study it the night before. And okay, so it hit Saturn in 2002. Mercury hit Saturn in 2002 and opposed the moon, the opposition to the moon in 2004. So that was like, I don't know a completion of how much kids she has, whether she's not having any more, something to do with family. It's going from the 7th house into the 8th house. So then it just keeps moving up through the 8th house, and still doing business, thinking things, and she is a businesswoman, and then it moves up into the last. It moves up into in the 20s and 35s, early 30s. It's Mercury goes through the ninth house of philosophy, of understanding, of teaching, of traveling. She's already traveling a lot, but yeah. So Mercury conjunct the node. I'm not sure what to say. I put it in just because it can be an intense thing sometimes. That's in 2021. That can be something where she's living or something to do with family members or something. By the time you're that age and your kids are grown up, anything can go from anywhere. And then it'll conjunct her midheaven in February 35. So her mind is geared to doing business a long time yet. You know, so she's not going to retire. She's got stuff to do. We're doing then in 48, as Mercury goes along, it will oppose the Uranus. So there will be some kind of change of thinking in that time period in 48. So this is basically, you're looking at, you're just seeing the phases of personality, the times of certain, but as you're seeing these, it's very distinctly going up to the midheaven, from descendant, from the seventh house up to the midheaven. That's her chart. She gets the retrograde over with early. So there's this funny phase of being here, but not being connected to what's around you for a while, and then starting to think for herself more positively as it builds up to her midheaven. Okay, let's get to. Okay, and look at 8. Okay, so we have, this is February 17th, 79, Lahore, Pakistan. There's a chart. It's Mercury starts in the 6th house, in Pisces in the 6th house, opposed by Saturn. It's a little cautious, goes to Pisces, a little inhibited, goes over to descendant in 1990-02. So he's 11 years old, goes over to descendant, goes retrograde in 2402, in 2004, February 2004. So 2024, 21, that's 25 as Mercury goes retrograde. Then it doesn't go direct till 2802. It'll go direct. But it goes over as descendant 3 times about relationships when he's young. And then at this next time, so these times, then Mercury doesn't complete it. It goes direct at 2802. It hits the final point, completion point at 46. So it hits the starting point in 9002, the starting point in 9002, and hits the completion point in 46. So like you're talking 56 years. So his life is in this Mercury phase in the 7th house about relationships. The 3 critical times of powerful influences of Mercury hitting the descendant, his ideas about what relationships are, how they should be. But basically, it tends to be moving from where he's coming from to try and improve things to build up career and status. It's generally moving up to 7th, 8th, 9th houses, building up towards the midheaven. It's not going deeper away. It's going to apply it more out into the world. So I'm learning astrology during this time period. He's seeing about relationships, how it goes, where it could lead, where it could go. He's seeing very practical social factors about this. Let's just go ahead and pick the second one here, sorry. So once you get the main factors in, then I go back and I write in, like with his chart, there was no planet, didn't conjunct any planets. Mercury just went forward, backwards, forward, but it didn't conjunct any planets. So I put in some of the other aspects to complete the story. So Mercury starts in Pisces, and then it's going to go along and it's going to oppose Saturn, exactly. Then it's going to square Neptune. So he would have been restricted and confused or taught to believe certain things. There's a certain amount of confusion around his thinking in his early years. Then it built up to hit started the Mercury, the imaginary point in the beginning, the invisible point at the beginning of before the Mercury goes retrograde. And then it goes over to descendant. So he's set up to where he's going to be married, what he's going to do, where he fits in, and then it backs off. in 2004 till 2028. There's the 22 years, and it goes forward, back and forth, over descent. So issues about relationships and thinking about them are very profound at these times. And then it builds up. But at the same time, the ability to counsel and advise and communicate and talk and relate to people, that's strong with the Mercury going through there. The need to communicate to people is in that 7th house. And it builds up. It's going to oppose the moon. It's going to oppose the Pluto, oppose the moon, and oppose Mercury. So he gets a lot of squares, oppositions building up to this. He doesn't have the conjunctions, but there's certainly going to be confrontations happening. So his family is going to be thinking one way, and he's thinking here's one world, but at the same time he's growing into a bigger world, into wow, things really, how people do things differently out there. I mean, at a certain point, as soon as you know one or two things about a person, then it's much easier to make these things come and see them more specifically. Okay, fine. So having a bit of history, knowing someone, being ready to talk about it. When you're doing a chart, you're not just defining someone, you're talking about this is what this goes on. This probably means this. How's that happening for you? What's happening? You ask questions about it. And then they're going to know, oh, well, I see it like this. Well, oh my goodness, and not like this, it's happening like this. And in that interaction, you start to see if it's happened like this, then it's probably leading to this. And that's where you start to get very useful material information from astrology. But the progressions themselves are showing these themes across lifetime that are evolving. And they work fine, they go along the way, but if the circumstances out in the world are pulling you to think in the opposite way, your inner Mercury, your mind's going one way, and the outside demands are going another way, and it's a much more challenging circumstance. So here we have January 21st, 61 Sun in Aquarius in the 1st house, Capricorn rising, with the Aries moon. Mercury starts, 1st house goes into the 2nd house, into Pisces, goes retrograde in 1984, goes direct in 2008, and goes beyond, it gets to the completion point at 2505. Okay, now, I know for sure this involves her married years, bringing up the kids, being on her own after that, bringing up the little kids herself at the end, and just dealing with the struggles of that. And then, so all the issues of resources and what has to be taken care of, it starts to break out on her own. But I mean, it's already breaking out to somewhat now. There are other plans going, but her thinking is moving down to studying more, deeper, more. It goes down across her lifetime until it hits her IC, her spiritual motivation. It's moving down to that consistently across lifetime, or security, or home, or personal depth. As it hits the IC, it's born with a Mercury square Neptune. So by the time she gets 90 degrees, it's going to oppose the Neptune. And that's more puzzling time, but it hits the IC. It's a puzzling mystical time. And that would work well, but it won't be so well for career or status or holding things together outwardly. More what she's learning. So in this, that's, okay, we're almost doing too many charts, but we gotta go through it, and we'll go through it like this. So in her process, when Mercury goes around, her Mercury, in 0801, it hits, what's it doing here? It's opposing Uranus. So her Mercury goes along, it opposes Uranus in 2008-01, opposes Uranus. Then it goes forward, and that's right at the starting point, 1808. No, it's not 1801, it's, sorry, just bring this bigger up, I can't see it. '68 December. So by '68, her Mercury was already, bring this down again, sorry.